Now, they have bilateral symmetry, or they evolved from animals with bilateral symmetry. But when they become adults, they have radial symmetry. Their larvae are ciliated and they're free swimming. And they kind of look bilateral. But later, they become more pentaradially symmetric. So they have radial symmetry, like you see here in the sea star, with razor arms in fives or multiples of fives. There's a little problem though with your radially symmetrical animals because of a front and a back and a posterior and anterior. That kind of becomes problematic. That's why we use the terms oral, meaning it contains the mouth, and it's the bottom side, and then aboral, it's where the anus is, and it's the top side, the opposite side of the oral. Grazing organisms like sea urchins have their mouth on the substrate where they feed, and their anus is going to be on the top. But if it's a sea cucumber, it's going to have a mouth at one end and the anus at the other end. The individual limbs or rays are named on the basis of a break in symmetry provided by the filter plate, and this lies beside the anus, which is labeled AN down here on the diagram, between two of the radial arms. And the radial arms are designated A, B, C, D, and E in a clockwise direction. That's just showing you some of the morphological elements. You can see they have eye spots on the end of their tentacles. You see the anus, so we're looking at the aboral side. And you can see extending those green digestive glands extending down the arms or the rays. They don't have an external skeleton. They have a thin skin that covers a mesodermal endoskeleton. And this is made of little calcified plates and spines. That's why it's called spiny skin, echinoderm. And so this is providing a rigid support for the tissues. The sea urchins also have these calcareous spines to protect them from predation. For locomotion, they have a water vascular system. They have all these fluid-filled canals that function for gas exchange, for feeding, and in locomotion. And this system has a ring, a central ring, a hydrocele, which is a water-filled cavity, and radial ambulacra, which is on the oral surface, and the tube feet protrude from this. And this is along each limb of the organism. These tube feet are extensions of the water vascular system that poke through the holes in the skeleton, and they can be extended or contracting by redistributing the fluid between the foot and the internal sac. In the asteroids, some of them use a wafting motion to move across the ground. Sea urchins use their feet to keep larvae of encrusted organisms from settling on their surfaces, and those things that try to settle there are moved to their mouth and eaten. The sea stars that burrow poke their tube feet through the surface of the sand above them into the water column to get the oxygen they need from the water column. Crinoids use tube feet to waft the particles that get captured on the radial limbs back towards their central mouth. Now, as far as integument, the epidermis itself is just cells that are responsible for support and maintenance of the skeleton. There are pigment cells and mechanoreceptor cells. Those cells are going to detect motion on the surface of the animal, and sometimes they secrete sticky fluids or toxins because they're gland cells there. They come in a lot of different colors, and the colors are produced by the action of the skin pigment cells. And they can be light sensitive, so that when it gets night, they change colors.